Hey everybody, it's Carol Tice here, and welcome to my free training with Sophie Lizard.
Hello, it's me, I'm here.
Yay! And welcome to Sophie, and this is Top 7 Reasons Your Blog Never Gets You Hired and What to Do About It. And I am hoping that you are seeing a slide that says those very words at this time. And you may need to click on the slides tab to see it. I'm hoping you are all now hearing us talking, and it's all technically good. So we are going to get started. I want to say that I'm just super excited to do this event because I think this is my first time presenting with Sophie. Am I crazy, Sophie? I don't think we've ever gotten to do this before.
You are not crazy, Carol. I think that is definitely the first time.
Yeah, even though I've been following her success at Be a Freelance Blogger for ages, and I think we've both written for Copy Blogger, and we've both been hanging around the same neighborhood a long time. And I think Sophie is one of the few people I would trust to do this training because she's been helping writers succeed at blogging for a long time, about as long as I have, and I'm just thrilled to have her insights for you. If you're wondering why I wanted to put together this particular event, it's because I've probably reviewed 500 or more writer blogs over the years that freelance writers have created. Either it's on their writer website or it's a standalone. But the express goal they state to me is that they wanted to create this blog to use it as a sample to impress writing clients and get hired to blog for pay. And the bad news is that not one of those blogs was achieving that goal. I'm not kidding. None. Every single one of these blogs was a ghost town. No traffic, no comments, nobody sharing it to Twitter or Facebook, and they reported that 0 clients had ever come from doing those. It's just I've never gotten a client with my blog is the feedback I get every time. And that is why I wanted to put this training together. The need is clearly huge out there to understand how to create blog posts that attract clients. And it kills me to see writers blogging away. When I'm coaching writers, I hear, I need to post on my blog every week. And it's going nowhere. And especially it's not attracting clients who pay well for content. So before we roll into the training, I just want to say, full disclosure, yes, we do have something bigger planned on a training on blogging for clients coming up. We'll tell you about it briefly at the end of this presentation. I don't like to play make-believe that nothing will be for sale because that's just dumb. But the big thing to know is we will try our best to keep that presentation short and to keep this whole training to 1 hour because I want to respect your time. And the vast majority of this event is nothing but high-value info from Sophie that you can use to improve your blogging right away. So just to get us centered and talk about who this training is for, it is for bloggers who want to start earning money by doing freelance blogging, and freelance writers who already have a blog and want to get blogging clients, and finally anyone who's thinking of freelance blogging and wants to set up their own blog for success and not be like the 500 ones I've seen. We won't be talking about how to monetize a personal blog in the traditional sense people think of, like putting ads on your blog or doing affiliate sales or creating and selling your own courses or any of that. So if that's your big question, how do I, get people to click ads on my blog or something, that's not this training, okay? The whole focus of this event is going to be 100% on making your blog an epic writing sample that impresses quality blogging clients and gets them to hire you for ongoing well-paid work, because that, my writer friends, is the #1 most reliable way to monetize your blog, is to use it to get paying clients. So the rest of that stuff is a real moonshot, and you got to have massive traffic and all kind of crazy stuff. And this is the way you can start leveraging your writing skill right away and get reliable money. So what you're going to learn in this event is 7 simple reasons that your blog isn't bringing you clients yet, and how to showcase your blogging skills for maximum hire me appeal, and the one fast action that wins you more blogging gigs than anything else. And with that, I am going to turn it over to Sophie to let her introduce herself in case you are new to her. And I'm going to let her take it away now.
Hey, I'm excited to be doing this with all of you today. So in case you don't know me, here's a very quick background check. I have been a freelance blogger for 12 years now. I started out at $50 a post with my first client in 2008, and now I average $1,000 a post. Admittedly, posts have gotten longer, so I'm not earning that amount for the same length of post as I was writing in 2008. But even taking into account the difference in post length, I find that the pay rate I'm receiving now is something like 6 times the amount per 1,000 words that it was in 2008. Now, I teach writers how to break into freelance blogging and grow a solid blogging business on my blog, Be a Freelance Blogger, which has been running for 7 years, and I've created 2 sold-out courses for freelance bloggers called Get Started for Freelance Blogging Success and the Freelance Bloggers Client Hunting Masterclass. Plus, I literally co-wrote the book on how to pitch blog post ideas to editors and site owners. It's called How to Pitch a Blog Post, and sadly did not make it to #1 on Amazon's category bestseller list on release day, but it reached the #2 spot for a while, which was more than I expected if I'm honest, so I'm super proud of that. So that's me, and now I'm going to hand this back to Carol to introduce herself, just in case you're new to her.
I am Carol Dice, and yes, I am a proud college dropout and self-taught freelance writer with a degree in nothing. You may know me from my Make a Living Writing blog. And what you may not know about me is that for many years I was booking $5,000, $6,000, and then $8,000 a month as a freelance blogger. And I worked on the launch of the legal portal Avo, on Lending Tree's blog launch, for Amex, for Entrepreneur Magazine, for Dell's blog. But my favorite steady gig was 3 years earning close to $2,000 a month blogging for Forbes on a channel I did on franchising and entrepreneurship. You can see me getting a crazy 600,000 view spike on one post that I put out there in the chart. And you can see my stats there on the right for the lifetime of those 3 years. I wrote 165 posts. I was just posting once a week. And I attracted 2.5 million total visitors. So that's the kind of stuff you do for clients that pay real money. And out of everything I've learned in that, obviously I founded Freelance Writers Den, 1,400 members and growing. We have 300 plus hours of courses, and that's kind of what I've been up to. And I wanted to give a little background about what I know about freelance blogging in case people weren't familiar. And now I am ready to turn it over to Sophie and dive into the training. Here we go.
Okay, so that is absolutely right, what Carol has said about freelance blogging being lucrative. I can definitely agree with that. And your blog can help you to win the good paying gigs with the best quality clients too, if you use it right. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So I am guessing you're probably curious to know just how lucrative is freelance blogging. That's usually the first thing that most bloggers want to ask me is, how much will I get paid? And the answer, which often disappoints people, is it depends, and it's totally up to you. I can't negotiate your rates for you or hand you good clients. All I can do is explain what you need to do to attract the better clients and projects. Now, I've run my own surveys on freelance blogging rates before, and so has Carol. And sometimes it seems like we're in a very small minority of people who actually look specifically at freelance blogging as a separate category. Because even after comparing a whole bunch of other statistics on writing and blogging rates and revenues, I found there's very little data specific enough to answer the question of how much you could earn, not just on a per post level, but per month or per year too. Most freelance bloggers also do other types of writing for clients, and some freelance bloggers also make money from their own blogs. So with the blended data that you get from most writer surveys, it's hard to figure out exactly how much you can expect to learn. Well, you'll learn too, but how much you can expect to earn from only freelance blogging. My very rough estimate is that the top few percent of freelance bloggers earn over $100,000 per year. And often they're doing that working only part-time. This is backed up by Carol's 2020 survey of pay rates for freelance writers that she just released. If you look at the answers from people who make at least 60% of their living from freelance writing, then you can see that close to half, 45% of freelance bloggers earn over $100 per short blog post, like the kind you could write in a couple of hours, 500 to 800 words. And 15% are earning 300 to 500 plus for a post of that length. Now, when it comes to a blog post of 1,000 words or longer, even more bloggers are earning higher rates. More than a third, 34%, are making that $300 to $500 plus for those longer posts. So let's do the math. When you consider that you could write 4 posts a week at $500 each and earn $2,000 a week, well, that's your 100K per year right there. Now, obviously, I'm not saying that a third of all freelance bloggers are going to break the 6-figure mark. That would be a pipe dream. I'm saying that those who put in the time, know how to get hired and how to command a good rate, will likely hit 6 figures. Now, unfortunately, a lot less than a third of freelance bloggers are confident or skilled when it comes to marketing themselves. So I believe that only a few percent of freelance bloggers are going to keep their work schedule filled and make that 2,000 every single week to hit 100K plus over the year. And you can take a couple of weeks off and still get that 100K. If you literally worked 52 weeks a year, it would actually be 104K. You want to be in that top few percent. So let's talk about how your blog can help make it happen. Now, usually in these kind of online trainings, the host will ask you to close all the other tabs in your internet browser to minimize distractions, but I'm actually going to do the opposite and ask you to look at something other than my slideshow while we talk. So I want you to open up your own blog right now, either in your web browser on another tab or maybe on your phone if you're watching these slides on a laptop, and be looking at that as well during the next half hour or so. I've also created a worksheet that you can fill out as we go to make it easy for you to record and remember what steps you need to take with your blog. If you didn't download that yet, the download link is further down the page you're watching this webinar on right now. So I recommend you download that worksheet now if you don't have a copy already, and fill it out while I'm talking. And the key here is don't write down what I'm saying, write down what you're going to do about it. So here we go. These are the top 7 mistakes that you want to avoid on your blog and what to do instead to give it maximum hire me appeal. I'm going to tell you what they are, all 7 of them, before we start, and then we'll go through them one by one. So number 7 is it's all about you. Number 6 is there's no clear topic or niche. Number 5 is it's hard to read. Number 4 is it's all words. Number 3 is weak headlines. Number 2 is nobody's looking. And number 1 is you haven't asked. So take a look at your blog now and tell me if you see any of these 7 fatal reasons why the good clients aren't hiring you to blog for them yet. Let's start with the 7th reason. It's all about you. So how are you going to know if this reason applies to you and your blog? Well, if you look at all the text you can see on your blog's homepage without scrolling down, and count how many times you used the words I or me or my or mine versus you or your, that will give you a fairly good idea. So go ahead and do that right now. I'll keep talking, but you've got time to do a quick count. Now, assuming you've got your blog audit worksheet downloaded and ready, look over on the right-hand side of the worksheet and give your homepage a rating for this activity. So give it a happy face if there's a lot more you language than me language on the page, a sad face if there's more me than you, or a neutral face if there's an equal amount of each. Now, just as a quick double check, do the same counting exercise again on your most recent blog post too. So that's a happy face for more you language, a sad face for more me language, and a neutral face for equal amounts of both. And if you're seeing a lot of me language, there are 2 steps you can take to fix that. So the first is to go back and edit the posts and pages that you've already written on your site to center on the reader more than yourself. I don't mean just quickly rephrasing a few things to add you, but thinking about the focus of each post from your target reader's perspective. Now, it doesn't have to be a huge ordeal, just a few small tweaks can make a big difference. And the second thing you can do is to create your new blog content with your ideal reader firmly in mind from the start too. Make it useful and usable for them, rather than just telling a story about yourself and leaving it up to your readers to figure out how to apply that to their own lives. Every good blog post includes at least one learning moment, so figure out what your readers need to learn and then give it to them. On to reason number 6, which is there's no clear topic or niche. Now, the best way to figure this out and decide whether there is a clear topic or niche on your blog or not is to find a volunteer who's never visited your blog before, show it to them and ask them to tell you, within 10 seconds, what your blog is about. And 10 seconds is being generous because a lot of blog visitors won't even give you half that before they've already made a decision to stay or leave. If you can't find a volunteer or you want to do this activity now so that you can put a rating into your worksheet immediately, then look at your blog homepage yourself and just try to imagine you're seeing it all for the first time. Now, give yourself a happy face if your niche or topic is clear and explicit, a sad face if your blog covers a whole bunch of different topics with no clear statement of what it's for or about, and a neutral face if you have a smattering of different topics but you keep them organised so people can easily find what they need. If you just awarded your blog a sad face or a neutral face, then it's time you clarified your niche. Whatever you already choose to blog about, you'll tend to get more work along the same lines from paying clients. So if you're focused on a specific niche, like stress reduction for parents, for example, you'll be more likely to get more gigs in that niche. On the other hand, if you don't focus on any particular topic, then you're in the danger zone. And the danger is that nobody will stick around to read more than one post because each post has little in common with the others. Plus, you miss out on being able to tell your future clients that you're a specialist in your niche. And that means you often miss out on the higher rates that specialist freelance blog writers can earn. So to fix this, look at what topics you've already covered and what type of person you've been writing for. Then figure out a blogging niche that makes sense for you and the work that you've already done on your blog. It isn't set in stone, so you can always change it later if you want to, but pick one niche to focus on now and really give it a shot. Moving on to reason number 5, which was it's hard to read. How are you going to know if your blog is hard to read? Well, my advice is to zoom out to 50% or smaller on your screen and then scroll up and down your homepage. Can you still see the text? Can you read at least the headings? What about the links or the buttons? Can you still read what those say? Is it clear where you should start reading? And is it actually clear what stuff on the screen is or isn't part of the main text? So give yourself a happy face if your answers are all yes, a sad face if your answers are mostly no, or a neutral face if you answered about half yes and half no. And just in case your blog posts look dramatically different to your homepage, open up your latest post and do the same zoomed out exercise again on that too. If you just got sad or neutral faces, here's how to fix it. In general, for most online writing, use black or dark grey text on a white or very pale background. High contrast is the easiest for the eyes. You also want to go for an easy-to-read size. Now, your font settings and the units of measurement might vary, but aim for your blog post body text to look at least the size of 14 or 16-point text in a Word document. And headings should always be bigger than the post body text. Line spacing also matters, so make it roomy, leave a decent amount of space between paragraphs as well. And speaking of paragraphs, keep them short, anything from 1 line to maybe 5 or 6 lines maximum. And feel free to break them up even more by adding bulleted or numbered lists or quotes that are formatted different to the normal body paragraphs. That should do the trick for that. So on to reason 4, which is it's all words. Now, how will you know if this reason applies to you and your blog? While you're still zoomed out to 50% on your blog post, take another look at it. How many pictures or photos or videos or other graphics and visuals can you see on the screen right now without scrolling up or down? Because the big wall of text is not a good look on a blog. So give yourself a happy face if you can see multiple visuals without scrolling. a sad face if you can't see any visuals without scrolling, or a neutral face if you can see at least one visual without scrolling. And what if you do scroll up and down? How many visual items are in the post total, and how far apart are they? Again, give yourself a happy face if there's at least one visual every few hundred words. Give yourself a sad face if there are no visuals or only one for the whole post. And give yourself a neutral face if there's more than one visual in the post, but they are further apart than a few hundred words. And if your blog suffers from the wall of text effect, here's what to do about it. You're going to want to add some kind of visual at least once per what would have been a page in ye olden days, like 300 to 500 words. Google apparently likes you to have an image or video every 100 words or so. So if you can find more relevant images, that's even better. Now, to find or make entry-level visuals is not too hard. You can embed a YouTube video or an animated image from somewhere like Giphy.com, or a free stock photo from Unsplash.com or Pixabay.com. Just make sure they're not too cheesy. You can also use a photo you took yourself or a screenshot from your laptop. And if you're okay with editing graphics or learning new tools, then you can also use something like Canva.com to create custom images. Once you've added all that visual interest, the next reason is all about the first thing people are going to actually read, and that is the headlines. So reason number 3 is weak headlines. And how will you know if your headlines aren't hitting the mark? Well, read your latest blog post headline. Does it say clearly what the post is about? Does it say what people will gain from reading the post? Like, are they going to make more money? Are they going to gain confidence? Are they going to sleep better? Whatever else. Is it specific? So, for example, 6 steps to save 27 minutes a day is a lot more specific than how to save time every day. And the last question is the big one. If your target reader saw this headline on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or LinkedIn or wherever with a link, would it make them curious enough to click that link? Give yourself a happy face if your answers are all yes, a sad face if your answers are mostly no, and a neutral face if you answered about half yes and half no. And now take another look at a different recent post's headline and answer the same questions. Does it say what the post's about clearly? Does it say what people are going to gain from reading it? Is it specific? Will it make your target reader curious to read more? And again, give yourself a happy face if your answers are all yes, a sad face if your answers are mostly no, and a neutral face if you answered about half yes and half no. By the time we're done here, I'm hoping your headlines are going to be looking more like the one at the bottom of this slide. Save 27 minutes a day with these 6 simple steps backed by science.
Sophie, I love that headline. I just want to break in for 1 sec to say a few people said they couldn't find the worksheet. It is on the right-hand side of your screen. It says call handouts and links, and it says blog audit worksheet. Click that link to get it. I had other people who said, I found it. So I think most people have it, but just in case, that is where you get your hands on that worksheet. All right, let's move on to how to fix this point.
Awesome. Thank you, Carol. Okay, so to fix weak headlines, the first thing you're going to want to do is put the main topic at the start so that the reader can immediately tell if this is something they're interested in. As you can see, the bottom one of these headlines says save 27 minutes a day at the beginning, instead of saying it at the end. You also want to make sure that you've said what your readers will gain from reading the post clearly, explicitly. This is really important. And yes, of course, they have to actually apply what they read to gain that thing. But the important thing for you when you're writing the headline is to make sure the potential benefit for them is clear. You want to be as specific as possible. So I'm talking about using exact numbers without rounding, 53 better than over 50, and describing what's in the post precisely. So how to pack a suitcase isn't as good as how to pack a suitcase for crumple-free summer style. You can also use some non-letter characters to draw people's eyes to your headline, so numbers are always good, especially with a percent sign. And punctuation characters can work well too, brackets, parentheses, square brackets. an exclamation mark isn't really unusual enough to make much difference, so look at the rest of your keyboard and have a think about what else you could use. Okay, let's move on now to our second to last reason. Reason number 2 is nobody's looking. And how will you know if that's true? Well, if you know how, you can check your website visitor stats, and then you'll be able to see how often people visit your site, as well as details like where they came from and how long they stayed. If you don't know how, though, that's fine for right now, and you can skip this question in your blog audit worksheet. It will still work just as well. If you do want to learn how to read website stats, just Google it after this webinar ends. There's plenty of good tutorials available from WordPress and Google Analytics and other platforms. So I'm sure you'll be able to find what you want if you'd like to learn more. If you are okay to look at your blog stats, then go ahead and do that now, and you can fill in your rating on your worksheet. So give yourself a happy face if you'd had visitors who went to more than one post or page on your blog, or who spent a long time reading. Give yourself a sad face if you have close to 0 visitors, and give yourself a neutral face if you have at least a few visitors every day, or if you get a burst of visitors whenever you publish a new post. If you don't want to dig into blog stats, then another way to approach this is to ask yourself, what evidence do I actually have that anyone is visiting my blog? So do you get comments on your posts? Do you see people sharing your posts online? Do you get emails about the posts you've published? Or even better, do you get emails from businesses that want you to blog for them because of the posts that you've published? Give yourself a happy face if your answers to those questions are all yes, a sad face if your answers are mostly no, and a neutral face if you answered about half yes and half no. If you're answering no to all of these questions, then you definitely need to get more eyeballs on your blog, but not just any eyeballs. We only care about the right eyeballs, and that's your ideal clients. So if nobody's looking at your blog, here are a few ways to get them looking. You can share the links to your posts on all your favorite social networks. You may well already be doing that, but I'm suggesting that you share them not just once when a post is first published, but once a week or so for months after publishing. So if somebody didn't happen to notice it this week, maybe they'll notice it next week or the week after. You can also add the link for your blog's homepage to all your online bios, your author bio on guest posts, your social network bios, anywhere else. Add it to your email signature too, so that people see it whenever you email them. If you don't do guest blogging yet, start. Simple as that. Guest posts on blogs that your ideal clients read mean that your writing, your bio, and your links will get seen by the people who could hire you to blog for them. That's exactly what you want. You can also consider republishing some of your existing blog posts on Medium or LinkedIn a couple of months after you publish them on your blog, just so that you can add your bio and a link back to the original post when you republish, and that way people can find their way back to you and your blog. The other thing that I really strongly recommend that you do is to join online groups and forums where your ideal clients hang out, not just forums for other writers, but where your clients might already be. So if your ideal client is, let's say, a small business accountancy firm, then you're going to want to join groups called things like Independent Accountants or Accountancy Cafe or whatever, and then pay attention to the conversations on there and join in every once in a while with an intelligent question or an offer of help, and include your blog homepage link or a link to a relevant blog post at the end of your messages. Give it a short label like, my blog, link, or here's a post I wrote about office ergonomics, link. It's as simple as that. You just want to make sure that as many opportunities as possible are created for people to take a look at your blog. But the big reason number 1 why your blog never gets you hired is you haven't asked. And it's easy to know if this is the problem, because if you haven't spent any time this week or last week asking to get hired to write blog posts, then you aren't asking enough. Now, this really matters because asking for work is the number 1 way of getting work. Asking for gigs will win you more freelance blogging work than any other tactic, and no matter how great your blog is, if you never directly ask for gigs, then you're guaranteed to miss out on most of the opportunities. So now give yourself a happy face if you've pitched ideas to multiple blogs, applied for multiple gigs, or had discussions with multiple potential clients in the past 2 weeks. Give yourself a sad face if you haven't communicated with anyone about new freelance blogging work, and give yourself a neutral face if you've pitched 1 or 2 ideas or applied for 1 or 2 gigs. Now, there is only one way to fix the problem of not having asked, and that is, let's get more asks out there. There are 3 stages to this, and the first stage is to identify who to ask. This means you're going to need to know your niche, like we talked about earlier, the type of client you want to work for as well. Those are things that I cannot decide for you, so take a bit of time to figure out your ideal client. And the second stage is to know what to offer them. This means doing more research to find out what the potential clients you've identified sell, what topics they cover on their blog, any gaps in their blog content that you could fill, ways that their blog posts could be better, and so on. And then the third stage is to reach out to those prospects, explain to them how your blog posts will get them what they want for their business, include the link to your blog, and suggest 1 or more ideas that you'd like to turn into blog posts for them. Okay, that is it. That's all 7 reasons why your blog is not getting you hired for freelance blogging gigs. Now that we're at the end of the 7 reasons, if you like, you can count up the total number of happy faces, sad faces, and neutral faces that you've collected in your blog audit worksheet. And if you subtract the sad faces from the happy faces, you'll get your net score. Now, a net score below 0 means there is lots of work to be done. A net score above 0 means you only need to adjust a few things. And if you have no sad faces at all, then congratulations, you're already doing great, and you can move on to more advanced stuff after tweaking any neutral faces. And that is it. So I will hand you back to Carol.
All right. Thank you so much, Sophie. I'm so glad that we weren't running an open chat, because I would have just gotten totally distracted and been typing, oh my God, yes, like after everything she was saying. So I think that was a good decision. So now that you've kind of got the fundamentals of why most writer blogs are not getting you clients, the question is, would you like a lot more help with this? We've kind of given you the broad strokes here. You need better headlines. Like, how do I know if my headline's any good? Just as someone who coaches a lot of people on headlines, I've found that it's really a challenge for people to come up with, to understand how creative and interesting and specific and exciting and intriguing your headline really needs to be to make this needle move. So if you feel like, I could really use a lot of input and someone looking at my blog and giving me some feedback, looking at my posts, looking at my headline ideas. If you would like help with that, as I said up top, we have a course for you. It is our Next Gen Bootcamp, and it is starting in February, technically on January 31, because February 1 is a Saturday. So, but coming right up at the end of the month, Make Money Blogging for Clients, how to write blog posts that get you hired. This is your chance to get a whole month of in-depth help from Sophie and from me over on the forums. And let me just quickly run down for you what will be going on so you know what we're up to. As I said, class starts January 31. We will be with you all month, and February is it's a leap year this year, so you get an extra day of class. So that's awesome. Quickly, what we are going to do week by week modules. Week 1, learn just blogging best practices to make your blog a client magnet, how to attract the people you want. Week 2, get your blog noticed. Learn how to get your blogging skills on potential clients' radar and start getting recognition as a blog writer. Week 3, know what gets you hired. Learn about pinpointing really your value to ideal clients, and those are value clients, the kind that really understand blogging, really understand why paying $1,000 for a post is a fantastic investment for them that is going to make their business so much more money than $1,000, and how to explain it in a way that makes hiring you really a no-brainer. And in week 4, we're going to talk about how to impress and manage these blogging clients. Learn what to do before, during, and after writing posts for clients, how to keep them happy, keep these contracts rolling, keep them coming back for more. So just like with this training we're doing right now, what you get is we record everything. If you can't show up live, it's fine. You will get a blog optimization plan that you emerge from this class with, blog post promotion tips, peer support, expert input from me and Sophie and the whole moderator team in the Den forums. You will have 4 live Q&As with Sophie and Den Moderator-in-Chief, Angie Mansfield, will be there fielding questions and getting them to Sophie. And we have homework forums for mentoring. Each of those 4 weeks you'll be getting a homework assignment. My classes are never sort of ivory tower, let's sit around and theorize about things. We have you in action doing blog writing and getting feedback on what you actually do. And the magic of taking a Den Bootcamp, if you've taken courses elsewhere, is when you join us for Bootcamp, you get access to everything in the Den. Remember, those 300 hours of additional training are all of the general help forums, all the other forum topics you want to post questions about. And I'll just call out specifically a couple of other Den Bootcamps that are in here. Is like, as you're doing this class, if you want to kind of go the next level and you think, I really want to learn about being a content strategist, and I need more ideas for types of business blog posts that will keep my clients happy. Well, we have a course called Business Blogging Mastery that's sort of a 201 level course that you could get to after this one. We also have an amazing content marketing course that talks about taking it to the next level, positioning yourself as a content strategist in a lot of detail. So this is the magic of the Den, is you're not buying one course, but really all the courses. And so the question is, what would that be worth to you? Sophie reports that 5 hours of her time live as a freelance blogging coach would normally set you back around $1,000, but she is here for just this month of February to teach this course at a much lower price point for all of us. Remember that math of me billing $8,000 a month blogging. That is almost 6 figures, but $500 a post, 4 posts a week, which is totally doable, is $2,000 a week, and that's $104K a year. I think if you take 2 weeks of vacation, was how Sophie did that calculation. And the investment in this is just $297 if you are not a current Den member. If you are a Den member at this time, watch your email for your access and your offer. And if you are wondering, the Den is closed to new members. You cannot just join the Den now and go that route. So if you're in the Den now, you'll get an email with that offer. If you are not a member and you're just discovering the Den and this class and going, wow, it's for me, then it is just $297. And we actually have 2 ways to register, and because some people just aren't into ongoing membership community stuff, like that's just not what they do, we have a way for you to just buy the boot camp, and at the end of the boot camp your access will end and you're done. And by the way, you can download all the training while you're in the Den and hang on to it. But we set up most of our buttons on the page that you will be seeing to roll automatically into ongoing $25 a month Den membership, because that is what 95% of the people we sign up want to do. They know that the Den is only open to the public twice a year, and they don't want to have to wait to get back in. And once you get a taste of how much support and learning and how great it is to get your questions answered on forums, most people want to stay in. But if you are a bootcamp only kind of person, you can look at the bottom of the page on this link, or you can click the button that I think says I want to blog for clients, and get to that page and scroll to the bottom to just join only for bootcamp and then leave. The timing, as we said, January 31 to actually to February 29. I forgot to update that. And your live Q&As, that's also wrong, are at 10 Pacific in February. This is clearly the slide I did not pay enough attention to. So we run through the end of February. We're going live at 10 Pacific, 1 Eastern, because Sophie is in the UK, and we want to get done before too late in her day. What I think is the secret sauce of this class, you may know there's a few classes out there that teach you how to blog, but a lot of them are kind of a year-long commitment. They're $2,000. This is a 4-week intensive. We honestly think we can really jumpstart you in an intensive short period of time, just get you leveling up, finding clients. And if you're wondering if there's opportunity out there, I saw someone post in the questions, but isn't blogging dead? Blogging is so not dead. Blogging is the least dead thing I know. And I just want to say that I had one recent coaching student of mine. She was a former paralegal, so she was targeting legal blogs, and I challenged her to go find legal blogs that were abandoned. You know, they have posts, but it's been 6 months or longer since anything was posted, and she readily found 300 of them in just this one space that clearly needed help. And that's one of the ways we target is who's got an abandoned blog. So there's just so much opportunity. It's kind of insane just to say. And that's kind of what we have got, except if you register right now, if you register before we get to our official start, you will also grab a copy of Sophie's ebook, How to Pitch a Blog Post. So that will allow you to kind of get started, start getting your head around the concepts. And we are about to go to questions, but I just wanted to say one thing about Sophie's final point before I forget, which was if you're not asking, I just want to say if there's one thing you could just take away from this training and do instantly, if you don't have a Hire Me tab on your blog that says hey people, I also do this for other people. Here's a portfolio of samples. That's just crazy. If you have a standalone blog, it's not a blog on a tab on your writer website. If you've got a standalone blog and you want to get hired for blogging gigs, put up a Hire Me tab and let people know. That's one way you can kind of create an inbound funnel of letting people know that you need it. All right, we are up to questions. I'm going to read them, and Sophie is going to answer them. And as usual, we're going to start with questions that came in ahead of time. And Saqib from Pakistan was saying, how do I find a platform for blogging and impress the reader and find clients?
Well, my first thought is if you're in Pakistan and English is your second language, blogging in a second language is generally unlikely to be a great earning opportunity unless your English skills are equivalent to those of native English speakers. And when I say equivalent to native English speakers, I mean those who are actually capable of speaking English well. There are many natives who can't. You may find that you're actually better off to write in your own language and get more local business clients. That said, you asked about the platform for blogging. So in terms of platform, you can start blogging on WordPress.com or Medium.com for practice and move on from there.
Right on. I totally agree. I think not enough bloggers look at businesses in a native language country, and they blog too, people. I'm going to put the URL that has the link to the full course page, so if folks want to read while we're answering questions, you can do that. So Gina in Littleton, Colorado says, I'm always afraid I'll get too much work. I want to work part-time, but I also want to be my own brand. I'm not sure how to balance that.
Okay, you know the only time I was ever afraid that I would get too much work? It was right before I started my freelance business, and the moment I started my freelance business, I realized how the best problem you can have as a freelancer is too much work. So don't worry, Gina. Keep going until it happens. When it does happen, then pass some of your excess projects on to other freelance bloggers. And if you do find that you're constantly passing on work to other writers, then you could even start up your own blogging agency. So that's a win-win.
Yeah, and the other thing I'd say is that's what I love about freelance blogging contracts is you know exactly how much work you're going to have. You're like, okay, this contract is for 4 posts a month. If that's all you think you're going to have time to do in a month, you don't take any more clients right now. It's like it's very controllable as opposed to someone, if you get some dysfunctional, disorganized client and, every week it's something different and, blogging contracts are just so well defined. And what I used to do often is sit down, if I had like 2 posts in a month I needed to write for a client, I'd sit down and write them in one day. Usually in about 3 hours, boom, I'm done. It's just, so easy to put this work down compared to, I don't know, let's write a white paper, let's refresh a website with 100 pages or, it's so controlled. All right. Anyway, Tafiq in India said, I don't know about anything about blogging. What should I do first to start a blog?
Well, my advice is to go to either wordpress.com or medium.com and open a free account there. So with that, you'll be able to open up your own blog if it's WordPress, or simply publish posts onto a public platform on medium.com. And when you write and publish those posts for practice, that is actually the best way to learn more about how it all works, because you'll be learning a little bit about the technical back end of putting these things together, as well as learning about how to write better, how to attract readers, how to listen to what people's feedback is telling you, and then create your next post based on that and so forth.
Right on. So Lois in Washington, D.C. says, I don't want to have my own blog. I just want to write for businesses' blogs. Is that reasonable?
Absolutely. It's certainly not unreasonable. I didn't have an active blog of my own for the first couple of years of my freelance blogging career. Although I would say that since having an active blog of my own again that actually says, yes, I'm a freelance blogger and, you could theoretically hire me if you wanted to, I think that definitely does boost the amount of work that I get offered. But even without a blog, you certainly can do it. You will still need good examples of your blogging work. So if you have that, then great. But if you don't already have a strong blogging portfolio, then I would focus on building that up with any combination of guest blogging, paid client posts, and self-publishing on open platforms like LinkedIn and Medium.
Yeah, totally agree. I have one friend who just does a ton in blogging, and she does not have a blog of her own, and she just appears on very popular blogs and uses that as her portfolio. And I mean, I think Sophie and I both had the experience that posting somewhere like, Copyblogger or the HubSpot blog or somewhere is a terrific source of freelance clients as well, but you kind of have to be blogging at the level to get on there is the trick.
Mm-hmm.
So,
sometimes it's just one guest blog post that helps you to get there.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Can open the doors. So you start off on what you might think is like a C-list site, and then you're on the B-list, and then like, woohoo, it's the A-list.
Absolutely. So Margaret in Albany says, long-form 1,000-word plus versus short-form posts to showcase on your blog, which is better, doing really long or short? Does it depend on your niche? Which performs better?
I'm not aware of a connection between niche and ideal post length. Unless maybe there are specific niches where you know that the audience has difficulty focusing and therefore you'd want to keep the post shorter for their sake. Word count is less important overall than the quality of the content. So it's not really about the length of the post. Just fill your portfolio with the best posts that got the most positive feedback from readers. Carol, if you're reading out a question, I cannot hear you.
Yep, thanks. Eileen in Port Townsend says, how to analyze your blog post before posting? So what should you look at before you go, okay, this is ready to post?
So I just have a really quick checklist before I publish. I run through it every time, and it's basically in my head. But if I write it down, it looks something along the lines of: is the headline okay? Does the intro need to be jazzed up a little to make it more interesting and gripping? is the whole post focused on helping the reader? Have I got the ending set up in a way that's upbeat and encourages the reader to take some kind of action? And then have I got images? Have I inserted links to other useful posts or resources? And have I put my keywords in the right places for SEO? And that's it.
All right. So Jean in Claremont says, I'm just starting my freelance writing career and I want to write blog posts for healthcare companies. How do I get started? What's the best way to approach them? I have a 30-year career in healthcare as an occupational therapist, and I recently got certified as an SEO strategist, so I know about, using keywords. How can I break in?
Well, it certainly sounds like you're in a great position to make this work, so that's the good news. The best way to approach these companies is with a phone call or email to find out more about them and see how you can help. So maybe offer them a free 20-minute call or a coffee meeting if they're local to you to discuss their content and their SEO. Your experience that you already have is going to count for a lot, but if you have no blog writing samples yet, then I would write a few posts about healthcare topics and publish them on somewhere like Medium for a quick starter portfolio so that you have something to show.
Yes. I just want to take a quick question, a couple questions about the course. Is it suitable for newbies? Yes, absolutely. Blogging is sort of the break-in writing assignment in all of freelance writing, I feel. It's the easiest, most widely available. You could always start writing for lower pay. There's so much blogging work out there, totally available. And I also had the question, do you need a college degree to get blogging work? You may have missed my intro where I talked about how I'm a college dropout, so that is a big no. I have never had anyone ask about credentials. They just want to read your post, see that you know how to write a blog post. That's it. And yes, if you are a DEN member, you will be looking to your email for your offer and access. And let me get you another question. Marie says, what's the most important thing to do in pricing your blog post? How do you convince clients that they need more than one blog post a month and should pay well?
The most important thing to do in pricing your blog posts is to know the value of your work and be fair to yourself and to your client. So don't undercut yourself. Don't make it so that you can't pay rent. Also, don't gouge your client just because you hope that you can get an extra whatever amount out of them and then force them to look at you as like, oh, we might have to let her go because she's charging us so much now. Just be fair on both sides.
We do a lot of speccing out in the DEN forums, like what's the size of this client? How close to the money is this blog? Does it got a lot of opt-ins in it that they get lead lists from, and then they have this thing they sell them that's hundreds of thousands of dollars? And, what is the opportunity this content is creating for that business to earn more or get more readers or whatever its goal is? Beverly was asking if the bootcamp includes information about setting up your initial blog. And I'm going to say it doesn't, because there is so much 101 level stuff out there that I don't think we felt like we have to duplicate that. Google how to do a WordPress one-click install, or go to WordPress.org and, you're set on that. So that part's easy peasy.
Yep, there are plenty of tutorial videos for you to set up a blog. It's not something that I would have any stress over.
Or pay somebody to just set up your blog for you. You don't have to do it yourself. So Lakeisha in Havre de Grace, I kind of want to know where that is, says, how do you ask for payment for your blog posts without appearing desperate? So this can become your standard. Yes, we are here to make it your standard, please.
Absolutely. I was a little bewildered to hear this question, because to me, if you're a freelance blogger, then absolutely getting paid for your posts for clients is the standard. There is no other standard you should be working to, and there is no desperation involved. Once you have enough information about the project to calculate your appropriate rate, then you just say the rate is this amount. And then at the end of the project, you invoice for that amount at the appropriate time.
Right. So Ruth asked about the bootcamp cost. It's not any different if you want to join for bootcamp only or you want to join for bootcamp and then stay in later months for the then. It is $297 either way, is the fee for your February bootcamp month in February. All right, let me get you another question. So Ben Grand has, I love this question. How do you decide what topics to write about on your own blog? Now you're trying to build a blog to be a writing sample. So he says, I'm a nonstop idea factory for other people's websites, but I have no idea what to write on my own. Should it be about my niches that I write about, general interest business stuff, something else altogether? What do you say?
Okay, so really you just have two options. Option A is to write only about things that you happen to love. Option B is to write about topics that are going to pay well when clients hire you for them. And the reason to do either of those things is the same. It's because you're going to get more of the same stuff you're already writing. So if you write about nothing but topics you love, you'll tend to get occasional offers of work to do topics you love. If you write about topics that pay well, you'll tend to get occasional offers at least of work that woohoo pays well. Now, if you're really lucky, you get both of those options to overlap, and then you can enjoy writing and attract high-paying projects.
Yeah. Maxine, it's just WordPress.com or .org. There's both. I forget which is the one with all the trainings sitting on it. If you just need to get the blog physically up. So Sumbul in Carmel, Indiana says, how do I get consistent income writing blog posts in the health niche?
Well, consistent income can only ever come from consistent marketing and a strong portfolio to back that marketing up. So if you create a few health-related posts that include everything a health company marketing manager would want to see in a professional blog post, and then publish those online to give yourself the portfolio, then you can start sending pitches and introducing yourself to health blog owners. And that kind of marketing, if you do it frequently and regularly, will lead to consistent income in the long term.
Wow, so many more questions are coming in. Hannah says, how often should I write blog posts? I think we got this from several people.
I say write them as often as you like. First of all, bear in mind that you don't have to publish a post the moment you write it. It's not like, oh, hey, I wrote this, I have to publish it right now. You can set things up so that you write it and then maybe publish it a week or 2 weeks later. You don't have to stick rigidly to a schedule either, so you don't have to tell yourself, I shall blog every Wednesday, and then punish yourself if you don't do so. On your own blog, it's actually often better to publish less and promote each post more than it is to publish every day, but never have time to share and promote what you're publishing. If you're looking to attract clients, you have to remember that the goal is to get the clients to see the posts. It's no use having 100 posts that haven't been promoted to anybody. Having 10 posts that you've actually promoted in places that clients might see them is far, far better.
Yeah, I always think the formula is more like, post on your blog once this month and post on someone else's way more popular blog with more eyeballs once this month, and promote the heck out of both of those, and you're going to be in good shape. So Miriam in Spain wanted to know if the bootcamp is a one-time payment, and that it is. Yes, that's it. That is all $297. You're done. And Thomas in Kenya said, I would like to know how I can start a blogging career and get a living from it, and how I will get the payment if my work is acceptable.
Well, if you're looking to start a blogging career, if I assume from that you don't even have a blog, then you're talking about going from zero experience to a full-time living, and I got to tell you, it will take time to develop your writing and content marketing skills if you have zero experience, and especially if you have English as a second language. So to get started, you may find you need a different source of income to rely on until you've got the skill set to make this work. That's the point where you'll really be able to get a living from blogging alone, is like when you've built up the skills to that level. So if you work at some other job while you build the skills on the side, there'll be a crossover point where you can quit the day job and move into making a living. But it won't happen until the skill set is all there. In terms of payments, PayPal is a common choice with almost every client I work with. They tend to send money via PayPal.
I like to say the great way to get payment is however they're willing to pay me. I don't care how. Send a check, use Zelle, whatever. It's something a lot of new writers seem to worry about a lot, but it just isn't an issue. You just figure it out with the client. So I've just noticed that we're above the top of the hour, and we have so many more questions. And I know we're willing to stay and answer some. I think we'll take, maybe another 10, and then I will email, or Sophie will, some of the people who we do not get to, so don't worry. Andrea said, if you're brand new to blogging, what's the quickest way to build your reputation to get more clients and well-paying clients?
Okay, so there unfortunately is no super shortcut for building a professional reputation. Tongue twister. You need a portfolio of posts that you've written so that clients can see how good they are, and then you'll need to get them actually looking at your work, which means researching and marketing to your ideal clients. So that is the quickest way because it is essentially the only way.
So Bob in Dallas says, for best SEO results, what's the best number of words for effectiveness?
Okay, so Google likes posts with about 2,250 words, so I'm told by SEO people. But longer or shorter posts can still rank number one on search engines. It's, the best number of words is the number of words you need to explain what you're writing about accurately and clearly and helpfully and make it useful to the reader. So post length is definitely not the ultimate deciding factor there.
So I'm just seeing a bunch of questions that I think kind of repeat stuff we've seen. So I'm skipping down. I wanted to take this question from JoJo. What's the best way to land a guest spot on someone's blog? You pitch them an incredible headline idea and outline. That's how you get on my blog, for instance. And I am a paying market, if anyone doesn't know, over at Make a Living Writing. And you have to have an extensive following before submitting a pitch to a major publication like Forbes. I wanted to take the Forbes question because Forbes doesn't hire people for their following. Forbes is looking for trained journalists and a proven track record of writing for business publications. So it's kind of a specialized situation. But in general, I want to say that prospective clients don't care a lot about whether you have a high traffic blog. They're looking for engagement, and they're looking for headlines that show you really understand how to make people stop and read a post. I'd say are kind of more the top two. And I wanted to say something about the what to blog about yourself. I know people who blog about like tattoos as a sample. And so it definitely doesn't have to be a blog about, finance if you're a finance writer or something. What it has to be is a successful blog in that it's getting shares and comments and it seems to have some visitors and it's attracting interest, and that as they scan the headlines, they can see they're all within the niche, that you understand how to take a niche topic and iterate many ideas on that topic, because that is what they're going to pay you for right there. All right. I think
absolutely.
I'm up
yeah.
to
I have quite a few friends who blog on what seem like really random topics that you would think they are the only person in the world that loves, but it turns out they're not the only person in the world, and they find clients who are still happy to pay them decent rates to blog on their pet topics.
Yeah, absolutely true. So, Beverly asked if you have copyright protection after your post is submitted to your client, and the answer to that is usually no. You are giving them the content. They are going to own the content. This is writing for hire for business clients. So just to clarify that. And I know I hit a point where I hit new questions. I'm just going to scroll real quick. Yeah, I guess we've addressed the is blogging dead. We clearly don't think so. I'm getting paid like $300 a post for somebody right now to ghostwrite some posts for him, and I don't think so. So you mentioned that the blog's niche should be clear in the first 10 seconds. What if you specialize in more than one niche? So yeah, don't create a blog. Don't create 3 different blogs. Just like pick a lane for your blog. The worst is when people are trying to start 3 different blogs. I know 0 people have ever been successful with that. I don't know about you, Sophie.
Yeah, I always say pick a niche, focus on it. If it turns out that you don't like it, you can change it later, but don't try and like sample everything in the pot at one time.
Yeah. So Aurora had a great question. I heard Sophie say homepage, not in reference to the website's homepage, but the blog homepage. So right now, my blog is a menu item on a general website. So do blogs need a homepage? This is great because a lot of people do put a blog under a tab on their writer website. So I wanted to discuss this.
So if you have it as a tab on your writer site, the page that you see when you click that tab is what I'm referring to as your blog's homepage. It's the index page. It's the one where you see like 5 or 10 posts in chronological order, or rather reverse chronological order. That page in most like WordPress.org or Squarespace or whatever, if you own the site, you can adapt that as much as you like to the layout, the design, add buttons, add headers, whatever you want to do. If you're using like a free website builder tool, you might find that it's not so easy to add customizations, but at the very least you can probably add a nice header image to the page and maybe a paragraph at the top or a line at the top that says a little more about you and that points out to people that you can be hired. Because like Carol said, if you're running a blog on a tab on your writer site, you want to have CTAs on there that bring people back to the idea of, oh, that's right, I am on a writer site. And if you have a blog that is independent of any writer site where you do have a blog homepage, you're going to then want to have a Hire Me tab on that blog. So either way, something's on a tab. And whatever's on a tab still needs to be attractive when you come to it and be appealing and look professional.
Yes, to that point, don't have a blog under a tab and that blog is named blog. Please, people, give your blog a name so that that is where you begin to start attracting people, is with the name of your blog. That helps people understand what you blog about. And I have reviewed just umpteen million blogs named blog. Just don't do that. So Helen from St. Augustine calls us out that save 27 minutes a day with these 6 simple steps backed by science is actually a little bit too long than the Google recommended link, so it would get chopped off in Google. So we would probably iterate that a tiny bit more to make sure it fit if we were doing that really for our own blogs. And yeah, Sarah said, is this training suitable for absolute newbies to blogging? Sure, yes. Don't feel a need to waste lots of time trying to figure it out. This is going to hand you the best practices. So maybe this is a question for me. Lynn said, how do you pitch blog resuscitation to someone who says blogging is dead? Lynn, I've never had that happen. I've never hit a business that has an abandoned blog where it's still up and you can see it, and they say, oh, we're not doing it anymore because blogging is dead. They're not doing it anymore because they don't have the in-house bandwidth. They were hoping their marketing guy would have time, and he doesn't. And they just haven't figured out what their next step is. They don't know any freelancers. They just don't have time to think about it. And I've never had them say, oh, well, if blogging is dead is their opinion, they've hidden that blog and you aren't seeing it anymore. So don't worry about that.
Exactly, yeah.
So let's see. Way to set up a blog. We went through over that. How do I know if my keywords are SEO optimized? Says Dustin. We will talk to you about tools that you can use to look at keywords. Or you can Google free keyword tool and have fun. There are so many. We talked about blog posting frequency. Where do you find blogging work from business clients if you're getting started? Can I jump on this?
Go ahead.
May in London. The thing is, once you decide what your topic is that you kind of know a bit about or you're interested in and you want to blog for businesses on, then you can Google a list of, the 100 biggest ones of those in your town or your country or in the world and start looking for blogs that are abandoned. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. You know, I forget what they say about how the incredibly high percentage of all blogs that are started that are abandoned. Just people think they're going to have time to do it, and they don't. And then it's just sitting there looking sad for their business. And the list of prospects are super easy to find online. What were you saying? Sorry.
I was just going to say one thing that I also look for quite often is not just blogs that have been abandoned, but blogs that are still painfully crawling along, like they're publishing a post maybe once a month still, but they're terribly written. They are just, you know, a few paragraphs long, some of them. They don't seem to really be following any kind of strategy. It's like someone who's putting in the effort to still publish something, even though it's that bad and it can't really be getting them very much in the way of results.
Yeah, and the tell is 0 comments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can see 0 comments. The share counter has nothing on it. They're on their last gasp. They're trying to do it, but it's just failing, and they don't really understand it. Yeah, you get companies that, like, they're posting their press releases, or, you know, it's all stuff about how great their product is. Like, they don't really understand content marketing. They don't understand that people don't want that from a blog. They want useful information they can use right now. And when you show them the kind of headlines you do, it's like their heads explode. They're like, oh, yeah, that would probably be better, you know, because they know what they're doing is failing. So I think we're going to wrap it up. If you have a question that we didn't get to, I am likely going to shoot you an email later today and make sure you get to it. In the meanwhile, learn more about how we will go in the deep dive all of February with Make Money Blogging for Clients with Sophie. I'm super excited to get started on this. I just think this is the boot camp where, like, the most number of students are going to get gigs during the boot camp of any boot camp I put on, because blogging is so widely available and there's so much need. Sophie, thank you so much for coming on. And Den members, look for your email, and everyone else, shoot me an email if you know, reply to your notice about the event if you need anything more from me, or we will just see you inside of the training. Thanks so much. Thanks, Sophie.
Thank you. Bye.